Welcome to the first week of college writing, in which we will try to answer the very elusive question of what the hell is college writing? So let's get started. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what college writing is. We're going to talk about the writing process. We're going to talk about what rhetoric is, and we're going to wind it up with the importance of genres. All right. So remember, the reason that these video lecture things are kind of occasionally long and boring is because what I'm trying to do is cram a week's worth of lectures into one little video and eliminate all the other cool stuff that I would like to do, like have discussions and have arguments and do some practice things. We cut out all of that. That happens in the discussion forum. That happens when you talk to me one-on-one. So this is like a distillation of a week's worth of lectures. So I do my best to make it as interesting and strange as possible. I am always open to advice and criticism. If there's a better way I could do this, please just shoot me an email. Let me know. What is college writing? So here's the thing. When people hear college writing, they think that it's a thing. They think that I can produce like an essay or a lab report and give it to you and say, this is college writing. That is not the case. That is not how this works. Right? College writing is a process. College writing is a skill that you can develop. And here's the thing. You do not know if you are a good writer or not yet. You don't. And the reason is, this is not beating up high school English teachers. They have very good reasons for doing what they do. However, the vast majority of you in high school learned how to write a 2 or 3 page thing in 45 minutes. That was the majority, if not the entirety, of your writing in high school. There are good reasons for that. We're trying to deal with the ACT and the SAT, which has like a stupidly short timed writing prompt. You're trying to deal with AP tests, which also have stupidly short AP writing prompts. There are good reasons why English teachers do this. However, that is not writing, right? Good writing cannot be deciphered from something you threw together in 45 minutes. It's not how it works. Everyone can be a good writer because you write something, it stinks. It always stinks. The first draft always stinks. The more that you can accept that, the easier this will be. Your first draft will suck. But then you fix it and you make it better. And you keep fixing and you keep making it better until you have writing you are proud of. That is college writing. Writing, revising again until it is good. So, no one is a, good writer. There is good writing that happens because writing has been revised over and over and over again until it is good, right? So if you sat in a high school class and you said to yourself, oh, all these other people, they're writing and they could just write forever and they're such good writers and I'm terrible. Garbage. All of the essays that were written in that way are terrible. I should know. I have graded thousands of them, right? Because they are not what real writing is. Real writing is fixing it and fixing it again and fixing it again and making sure you have the time to fix it again and again and again until it is good. So do not come into this class thinking, oh, this is going to be easy because I'm a great writer. And don't come in thinking, oh, this is going to be terrible. I'm a terrible writer. You're not either yet. We don't know. All we know is that all writing could be great if you revise it enough. If you fix it and revise it and pay attention enough, all writing is good writing or could be good writing. So, writing is a skill that can be learned. It's not something magic. It's not a hereditary trait that you either have or you don't. That's not it. It's a skill. It's a process. Good writing comes from revision and reflection. You write something. Ugh. You reflect on it. Okay, this sentence is good. The next paragraph and a half suck. The next sentence is good. The next paragraph and a half suck. And that's your reflection. That's where you look at it and honestly say to yourself, hey, this is good. This is bad. You fix what's bad. Then you read it again and you say, okay, now this paragraph's okay, but the next paragraph still sucks. And then you fix that. And then you keep going and going and going. It's a process, right? So, in addition to being a process, college writing is a genre. And we're going to talk about genres today, all right? But what that essentially means is that college writing is a type of writing with specific format, specific rules, specific structures. And as long as you know those rules and structures, and that's the point of this class, you will leave by the end of the semester knowing these structures and rules and formats. You will be able to produce strong college writing. So, here is the writing process. The writing process is essentially 5 steps, right? Although it gets a little more convoluted once we go, but as you'll see. The first draft is pre-writing. The first thing you do, pre-writing. This is when you sit down, you brainstorm your ideas, you throw all of your ideas on paper. When I'm brainstorming, my pages look like a mess. It just looks like completely incomprehensible drivel, right? Because I'm just throwing the ideas out. But once you land on some ideas, you do your research. Research is also part of the pre-writing. Outlining is part of pre-writing, all of that. You do all that, and then after your pre-writing, you create the shitty first draft. You're reading a whole article about the shitty first draft this week by N. Lamont. But you've got your shitty first draft. Some people are surprised that you're like, oh, you're a teacher. You shouldn't be saying shitty. Well, I like saying shitty first draft because that's exactly how bad the first draft always is. Always. It's not a crappy first draft. It's not a bad first draft. It is a shitty first draft. But, as a famous writer once said, all shitty first drafts are perfect because all they have to do is exist. Good writing comes from revision and reflection, which means the shitty first draft is just you throwing your ideas on the page, vomiting ideas onto the page until, oh, I seem to have gone away. Where did I go? Come on, come back. Okay, there we go. All right. Good writing is just getting all of your ideas onto the page, getting it down. It's always going to suck. And then you say, okay, oh, this sucks, but thank God it's there because now I can fix it. Because good writing comes from the fixing. That's what revision is. That's step 3, revision. You have your shitty first draft. You're reading it. So like, oh my God, this is terrible. So you revise it. You fix it. You say, okay, I'm going to fix this. Then, at the very end of this process, we have editing. There's a difference between revision and editing. Revision is about ideas. Revision is about communication. All right? Editing is the technical stuff, the formatting, the grammar, the mechanics. Did I double space it? Do I have my citations built correctly? That's editing. And notice, you don't want to do any of that stuff. You don't want to do a spell check. You don't want to do a grammar check or anything like that until you are happy with the draft. Because if you're not happy with the draft and you start editing, like, fixing grammar, you're just going to have to fix the grammar again because you're still having to revise. So you don't do that stuff until the very end. All right. Finally, once you've edited it, you say, all right, boom, I'm going to publish it. That means many different things. On a Facebook post, you publish by hitting send. In college, you publish by turning it into me. So, once again, pre-writing, research, note-taking, outlining, list-making, brainstorming, anything you need to do to get ready to write. The shitty first draft. All first drafts are shitty. We realize this. The moment we realize this, we become better writers. Because we stop panicking when we write something and it's terrible. Instead, okay, this is supposed to be terrible. That is its point. So I'm just going to write it. Revising. This is where the real work of writing begins. You move your ideas around, you fix ideas so that they make sense, you delete what doesn't help you, you add what's missing, you alter the shitty first draft, and that's where beautiful writing is born. Editing, the technical work, grammar, spelling, punctuation, ensuring the proper format, ensuring the citations. Publishing, turning it in. But here's the trick. The writing process is a constant cycle. All right? Professional writers have a saying that writing is not complete, it's just abandoned. All right? And that's because you can do this cycle forever. And at some point, you just have to wash your hands of it and say, I'm out. But you do your pre-writing, you write your shitty first draft. You revise it. You edit it. Then you publish it. Now, in my class, the first thing we do with every major paper is I don't read it. Your peers read it. We do a big peer review. That's your first publish. Your first publish is give it to one of your classmates. They read it. They comment on it. And they comment on it and they say, I don't understand this. I don't know what the hell you're doing. What the hell you're doing. So you take all of their comments and then you start fixing it. And you pre-write again. You say, all right, what did they say? How can I fix it? You produce another shitty first draft. You revise it again. You edit it again. You publish it the second time in my class. You turn it into me. That's your second publish. I destroy your paper. I come back with tons of comments, tons of suggestions, lots of things you need to do. So you take that back. You guys say, oh, God, Garcia, why the hell did you write all of these comments? You take my comments. You fix them. That's the pre-writing. You produce another shitty first draft. You revise, you edit, you publish. And you just keep doing that. In my class, you keep doing that until you have the grade you want. If the second draft, you get the grade you want, if you're happy with a C or you're lucky enough to get an A, awesome, you're done. But if you get a C and you really wanted an A, you just revise again and you're good to go. But that's the writing process, and that's what actually makes good writing. Writing, fixing, writing, fixing. So that leads us to rhetoric. Right? Rhetoric is the art of writing persuasively. Right? It's the academic study of how words, of how language works to persuade us. And here's something that annoys other writing teachers, but I don't care, because this is what I firmly believe. All writing is persuasive writing. When you pick up a pen, you are hoping to persuade someone else of something, right? This goes from easy to think about, right? If you're writing, an argument paper, right? You're persuading the reader to believe in your side of the argument, to trust your side, to follow your side of the argument. If you're writing a fictional work, you are trying to persuade the reader to believe your world, to believe in your characters. You're trying to persuade them to get the moral of the story. If my wife gives me a to-do list, she is persuading me to do something. So, all writing is persuasive writing. And that means that all writing is rhetoric. All writing is the art of writing persuasively. And rhetoric comes down to two different things, two important things. It's what you want to say and how you say it. What you want to say is your idea, right? That is, you have an argument that you really believe in, and you want to say this. You must believe me when I say blank. That's what you want to say. How you say it is the language that you use, the way that you use words and language and images and metaphors and syntax and all of these things in order to communicate what you want to say in a specific way. When you have really good writing, what is happening is that what you say and how you're saying it are working together to convey your point. All right, so that's rhetoric. That leads us to genre. Now, I said at the top of this video, and again, I hope you realize that you can stop and start these videos. Like you can, but you don't have to listen to me yammer for 45 minutes straight. You can actually pause and go away and come back later, whatever. But genre, all right? We talked about genre. Genre is simply, when we talk about just the word, it's a way of classifying things. Genres, you've got genres in all academic disciplines, right? It's a way of classifying things based on similar form, similar style, or similar subject matter, all right? So when we talk about, genre in biology, we say, all right, mammals are this genre. When we talk about physics, you've got, this law and this law, blah, blah, blah. So genre is important to us in two very distinct ways, all right? One, anything you read in every class, everything you read in every class, one of the best ways to figure out what you're reading and how you're reading and why you're reading it is to determine the genre. Because again, once you know the genre, there are underlying rules and techniques and expectations. And if you could figure out, okay, this is a genre, this is why people write in this genre, this is the expectation, you can understand what you're reading. The same is true for writing. Every writing piece that you have in college is a genre of something. So if you can figure out the rules of the paper that you've been assigned, of the rules of the essay that you've been assigned, you're halfway towards getting a good grade writing a good paper, because you've understood, okay, I know the genre of this paper, and that tells me what I'm writing, that tells me how I'm writing, that tells me my audience, it tells me everything. So in college, we can think about the difference between academic and non-academic writing. All right? So, non-academic writing is any writing that we do outside of the kind of academic scholarly world. All right? The first assignment you're doing for my class is a literacy narrative. That is non-academic writing. That means your literacy narrative, you're not going to have things like citations and things like that. You're not going to have quotes from other books and things like that. You don't need it, because it is not part of the genre of the literacy narrative. The literacy narrative is not an academic paper. Academic papers, the genre, and that's of course where we're going to be building to, right? Every paper we write in class is going to be building and getting us closer towards an academic paper, with the final paper we write being a full-on academic paper. But academic writing, right, is about persuading your audience of an opinion that you hold in your discipline, and backing that up with facts and citation and support and analysis. Now, we could talk about in academia, there are three basic branches of academia, right? These are genres in and of themselves, but whatever. You've got your sciences, your social sciences, and your humanities. Your sciences is sometimes called the hard sciences, all right? Your physics, your chemistry. These are sciences based purely on the observation and extrapolation of data, right? Physics is based on math. That's it. That's all you've got. All right. Biology, there's a lot of math. There's a lot of paying attention to rules, things like that. But I just dropped my soda. That's all right. So science, all right, is one genre. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got humanities. Humanities is the analysis of human production. Right? And in other words, what that means is we talk about humanities. When we study an art piece, when we study literature, when we study anything that is meant to evoke an emotional response in the viewer, you are analyzing, that is humanities. All right? So you've got sciences over here that's all about data and evidence. And then you've got humanities over here that's all about analysis and interpretation. All right? And then in the middle, you've got social sciences. Social sciences have to do with the observation of people, right? Your psychology, your sociology, things like that. Those are all social sciences, right? But social sciences deal with, statistics, because no human is going to react the same way to every situation all the time. You can't fully do just observation and data when you're talking about people. That doesn't work. You have to factor in some analysis. You have to factor in some interpretation. So you've got sciences, evidence, math, data, statistics. Humanities, analysis, interpretation. And then in the middle, social sciences, kind of mix of each, right? And of course, you're going to take social science classes that are going to describe this far better than I, and you'll get there. But you'll see that what I tell you is, for the most part, true on a very rough and basic level. So, right. So you've got what each category wants to say. Sciences want to prove something about the physical world with observable data. Social sciences want to prove something about how humans connect and communicate and interact with each other based on observation and data and analysis. Humanities want to express, identify what is going on in the world based on analysis and interpretation of objects that are created to emotionally manipulate an audience. So that's what they want to say. And then there's how each genre says it. All right. Sciences uses facts. Humanity, analysis. Social science, in between. So, practicing with genre. Here are the questions that you want to ask when you're thinking about a genre. And again, the reason that you're asking these questions in a college writing class is because a professor is going to assign you a paper. And you are going to say, all right, what is the genre of this paper? And when you ask yourself that question for any paper you've been assigned in any class, here are the questions you're asking. Who's the audience? Right. So in college, in academic writing, there are at least two audiences, right? There's the ideal, which is your audience is other people in that discipline. So in other words, you are writing an English paper for English professors, for English students. You are writing it for everyone participating in the English discipline. But then there's the more true, more honest. Your audience is the audience of one, your professor, right? And that's one of the things you need to do. You need to find out from your professor, either by asking outright or just observation, what your professor wants, what they're looking for, and that's going to be part of your genre. Does the assignment itself give you clues about the audience? If you're in a biology class and they give you a lab report, well, just the fact that it's a lab report, pretty big clue there that you're going to be writing about observations in a lab. So you are always narrowing down what you have to do based on the genre. What does the audience need? In a biology paper, they need math. They need statistics. They need observable evidence. In an English paper, they need direct quotes from the text. In a history paper, they need primary source material. Right? What is most important to them? Humanities is about, emotion. It's about communication. That's what is important to someone in the humanities field. Math and data is important to science. So, what are you least likely to care about? Well, I'm going to tell you honestly, humanities, I mean, to some extent, but for the most part, mathematical data is not a big part of humanities. So, don't write a paper where you're trying to convince someone that, Hamlet is really sad, and then use, mathematical evidence to prove it. That's not what the audience wants. What kind of structure? Well, all writing has a slightly different kind of structure, right? And so what you want to do is you want to say, all right, someone gives you a lab report. You want to say, all right, I'm going to find some lab reports. I'm going to read some lab reports. I'm going to say, okay, now that I've read some lab reports, I'm going to see what structure they used, and then I'm going to follow that structure. You're going to do the same for every kind of assignment you get in every class. All right, so here are some buzzwords that you're going to get from your classes, right, that have to do with genre, although they don't always say it. Each of these is a genre of college writing, right? Analytical. An analytical paper, so in other words, if your prompt from your professor says something like, this is an analysis paper, or you are to analyze, or something like that, then it's going to be an analytical paper. What is valued is the student's ability to examine closely the connection between the parts and the whole of a particular subject. and their ability to investigate and articulate the ways ideas connect to or contrast with one another. So, if someone tells you to analyze something, that's what you're going to do. You're going to look at parts, and you're going to see how those parts build and create the whole. Informational. What is valued is a student's ability to summarize and synthesize information on a particular subject. Right? Argumentative. What is valued is the student's ability to articulate a claim about a particular subject. Reflective. The literacy narrative is reflective. What is valued is the student's ability to look at experiences retrospectively and articulate what has been learned from those experiences. Or expressive. What is valued is the student's ability to consider the relevance of personal experience and express that experience. So, these words, these terms will be used over and over again in your college classes when you're assigned homework, when you're assigned prompts, etc., etc. Just looking at the prompt, therefore, is a great way of narrowing down, figuring out the genre of a paper. And again, the genre tells you the rules. The rules makes it way easier to write the paper. So, the genre of a text is dictated by the requirements of the audience. Genre tells us what to write, the thesis, the evidence, and it tells us how to write it, the structure, the style, the language. So, genre tells us rhetoric. Because if we remember, rhetoric is what to write, is what we want to say, and how we want to say it. So, here are the key things I want you to remember. The writing process, especially the shitty first draft. The faster you can believe me that your first draft is supposed to suck, the easier writing that first draft is supposed to be. And the easier it is to write that first draft, the easier it is to start revising and turn into something good. All right? We talked about rhetoric, and we talked about genre. I hope you have a great week. I am always available. Find me if you need me. Email, text me, whatever you need. I hope to talk to you soon.